Hello, everybody. We're live, and welcome to York. I'm just going to go out the way of these people. So, welcome to something a bit different today. We are part of York Unlocked, which is a brand new project that is opening the doors on some of York's hidden treasures. So, places that I would love to bring you week by week, not always available. But today, on a one-off basis, we're starting here at the Convent Living Heritage Centre. And I'm about to introduce you to a very special person indeed. I'm going to let her introduce herself because we are in the presence of greatness. We're in the presence of a great storyteller and a very nice lady. So if I could just ask you to, we'll just turn that on there. Right. Just speak into the mic and just make sure we can hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Let's just go to the... There we are, Marlena, Susan, everyone here. So Jan in Best Part, Kentucky, there we go, you see.
That's great.
Fantastic.
So, it's fantastic to be in touch with you all here from the Convent in York, which is buzzing at the moment, because we have this new venture of York Unlocked. And because of that, we have been working very hard to really make this place come alive, and the parlour, which you were just about to see, called the Georgian Parlour, gives us a lot of the history and the beginning of this house, and we'll be able to see the portraits.
Would you like to introduce your name, Marlene?
My name is Anne, Sister Anne, and I'm a member of the community, and I live here and have been here since 2008.
So for those that just joined, we are actually in a living, breathing convent. Yes. This is an active Christian community, Catholic community, and but it's also a centre that accommodates the history, the kind of founding of this place. While we just sort of flick over so people can get a sense of the interior.
Started because of an amazing Yorkshire woman called in 85 at the time when she was a Catholic, belonged to Catholic parents, and as you know, at that time the Catholics were very badly persecuted under the reign of Elizabeth. But her family really wanted to maintain their Catholic faith, and so she they had to move round to be able to keep their faith alive, because if they didn't go to the state church, they had to pay an enormous fine.
And there's a lot of Catholics in this part of the world, wasn't there?
Yorkshire was alive with Catholics, and they were all in some way interconnected, all the families. So to just give you a brief history, communities in Yorkshire, or even in England at that time, because of the dissolution of the monasteries. But she felt called by God to actually establish a new way of life for women based on the newly founded Society of Jesus, because she knew that there was no difference between men and women, that women could not do great things, but they needed to be educated.
And the Society of Jesus knows the Jesuits.
The Jesuits.
The Jesuits,
yes,
yeah.
Yes,
so they're kind of instrumental, aren't they, in keeping Catholicism, the heartbeat of it, alive during this period?
They were very alive in hiding during the Reformation and during this terrible time of persecution. In fact, several put to death. But this was a completely new way of life for women, and she knew she had to get permission from the Pope, but of course she was way ahead of her time, and so she was turned down, and in fact she was condemned as a heretic and imprisoned.
Right.
Eventually she was vindicated in 1909 by Pope St. Pius X. He said that she was actually a woman, an indomitable woman who was given to England in their hour of need. So, an incomparable woman.
Incomparable.
Yes. Now,
it's her individual drive, isn't it?
Yes.
Is the sort of foundation.
Could you just show there? That is the portrait of Mary Ward.
So this is the foundress, Mary Ward, a portrait.
Yes. And then she had two wonderful companions. Over here, behind you, up there, John, is her great Wigmore.
Winifred Wigmore.
Up at the top.
Just get the name.
And Mary Poyntz.
She had a lovely calm face, isn't she? Winifred.
Oh, she was wonderful, Winifred. I used to call her my dear Win. And you see, they wrote huge letters now. Mary to write her life, and they had actual pictures of Mary Ward's life, what we call the painted life, and they are in our exhibition centre.
The signal's not brilliant in here, so shall we move on and perhaps go up to the chapel? We'll pass through. So I'm sorry that the signal's been dropping in and out. So we're going to go into hopefully a better place for...
So we're just going through a very busy place at the moment because we are open to the public, and it's a joy to see so many people here.
Yeah.
Now we're going through the atrium, what we call the atrium, but it was at one time an open courtyard,
yes,
but covered over in the Victorian times as a winter garden for the sisters. So we have now, and it was put together in Coalbrookdale. The architect was the architect of the first York station, G.T. Andrews. The tile is magnificent tiled floor, more tiles, and Moore, who designed it all, went looking for special clay to get these beautiful colours.
They're astonishing, aren't they? I mean,
yes, and this is a unique design. I think there's only one other, and that I think is in the Senate House in America. And if we could come along, we've got here now a beautiful garden bench, Coalbrookdale, and you will see the stamp from Coalbrookdale, these lovely nasturtium leaves and nasturtium flowers. And it is absolutely staggeringly beautiful.
That is gorgeous. I hadn't even noticed that. That is a real work of art, isn't it?
Mm.
What period is this? Do you know? Because it's almost like kind of an arts and crafts kind of approach, isn't it? Sort of.
Well, no. This is Victorian. It is the time of Coalbrookdale. You know the iron. What's called the iron? Something. It's Iron Bridge.
Iron Bridge.
Yes.
So obviously we're going now towards.
We're going up now towards the chapel.
But
it's a hidden chapel.
It's a hidden chapel.
Yes, because this was, I think, it was probably one of the first chapels, Catholic chapels in England since the Reformation. And of course there was no permission to have a chapel. But again, another indomitable woman, Anne Aspinall, who was the superior at the time. The community was growing, the pupils, the school was growing, and she thought it was time now to expand.
Yes.
And she wanted her new building to have a chapel. Again, she got an architect, this time Thomas Atkinson, who gave her this stunning Georgian chapel, neoclassical chapel.
So get ready for this, guys. This is quite something. Who were the patrons, do we know?
Well, I think there was some reserves left from a lady who was an heiress and she brought money with her.
Yep.
Anne Aspinall was very good with money. She was very thrifty. She also asked her friends to contribute.
Did she?
So yes. So it's nothing new, having appeals for new buildings. Now, she wanted her new chapel to have a dome, which she got, but it is hidden, again, to keep it secret.
It's like an internal dome, isn't it?
It is an internal dome. If you go out to the garden, you don't see it, as it's hidden by a pitched roof. And as you look up into the centre of the dome, you see it's full of symbolism.
So it's a Hebrew, isn't there?
That's right. The chapel is dedicated to the Blessed Trinity and Our Lady, and you see the equilateral triangle, and inside in Hebrew the word Yahweh. Then the
word of God,
circles representing the eternity of God, and the rays the glory of God.
Isn't that great with
If
the
you
Zoom?
go down to the medallions, you'll see that it's the wheat grain, hence the flour and bread. And if you go down to the base of the dome, you see the vine and the grapes. So in that little dome, we have our Catholic faith of the Trinity and the Eucharist.
Oh, I see the wine, so the grapes are the wine, the blood, yeah, I've got it, yeah, and the grain is the breaking the bread.
See, it was also, so if people came in here, they wouldn't actually recognise, the symbolism. But in that little dome, in a very, very simple way, our Catholic faith is given. It is just astonishing. So this was built in 1769. And it was the Georgian time of the classical, return to classical times. So we have
Baroque quality to it, isn't there?
But it's not so decorative, it's not overwhelming, it's
No.
just beautiful. And so we have the pillars, and we have lots of putti in here.
Because they're
We've got
little
over
putties, aren't they?
200 angels in this
How
chapel.
wonderful. See, there's putties, aren't they, in
Yes.
art, yeah.
Yes, yes.
They're wonderful.
And here we have them on the altar.
So look,
The sisters in the Victorian times did change the chapel, took away the 4 Latin doctors of the church. So we have to the left, St. Jerome with his lion.
Yep.
Then we have Pope St. Gregory the Great, who sent Augustine to convert England.
Yep.
We have St. Augustine of Hippo.
Yep, the other Augustine,
And beside him is Ambrose of Milan, who was instrumental in bringing Augustine back to his space. And he is the patron saint of beekeepers, and you can see beehives there.
Oh, really?
And he is the honey-tongued doctor.
The honey tongue.
Yes, because his words were honey sweet.
So he could talk you to anything, could he?
Exactly.
He's the guy who gets recruited.
Yes, definitely, because he spoke to people's hearts, because he knew that God was a God of love, and he was able to convey this in a very wonderful way. I mean, so much so that he just totally overwhelmed Augustine, who then was overwhelmed with the love of God. And he has in his left hand a heart that is overflowing with love.
Oh, okay.
So
it's not the Sacred Heart, then? That's
no. This is again a symbol of love.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there is a lady, of course, that is very much associated with this, Margaret Clitheroe, and I'm going to be going on to the Guildhall a little bit later on today, where she, of course, she was on trial.
Yes.
But of course, this is a place that is of great significance and importance to this place, yeah?
Yes, because we actually have her hand here. We have her reliquary. It's in a reliquary. It's been in our possession for centuries. We don't have an exact provenance, but because it's been with us for so long and it is an incorrupt hand, so I think we can be absolutely certain that it is her hand. We've now got a little reliquary over here, and with a marquette, which is an image of a statue that is now in Leeds in Hinsley Hall, and it shows Margaret with her arms outstretched, giving herself totally to God, but also at the back you have sort of a little bit which may be the door under which she was laying with rocks, so that and then she was pressed to death with weights, and a most horrendous, awful death.
We're going to be covering this story in depth on November the 5th. I'm doing a story about the Catholics, the persecution of the Catholics, which of course have exploded into the Gunpowder Plot, and Mary Ward, of course, was associated with the plotters.
And Mary Ward was a year old when Margaret was put to death, so she would have known about Margaret, and she was just a wonderful woman who didn't want to be betrayed, to go on trial. We've also got here a priest's hiding hole.
A priest's hole, right?
Yes. Now, this we believe to begin with that perhaps it was Anne Aspinall, who built the chapel, was responsible for this hiding hole, but we're beginning to realise that actually it's much earlier than that, probably put here by Francis Bedingfield, who founded this house on the 5th of November 1686, because this become known because of the bricks. They look that the narrow Tudor bricks.
Age for that period,
yes. So we have to do more research on that. Obviously, you didn't drop down into it. There was an entrance, a secret entrance somewhere.
And this really is about the restrictions, isn't it, on the following the faith, as you might say, that you couldn't take the sacraments, could you? It was something that had to be done sort of underground, as you might say.
Exactly. So, and of course, you can't have the mass without the priest.
Yeah.
And the priest was the traitor in the eyes of the authorities.
Yeah.
So the priests were the ones that they wanted. So the Catholics then had to look after their priests, and so there are hiding holes in many, many houses, old houses in England, and some of them very small, and extraordinary how these brave men withstood what they had to do to...
and they had specialist teams, didn't they, that were expert in sort of working out where false walls might be. They really kind of brought in architects and engineers to really get into it. So it was a real kind of cat and mouse game being played out, wasn't it?
Very much so. And there was a wonderful Jesuit brother called Nicholas Owen, and he created a lot of the hiding holes in England, particularly in a house called Madison Clinton, which is near Birmingham.
Okay. Our time, unfortunately, is well on to an end, so I want to say just thank you. Marlene should ask, how is this maintained in terms of your income generation, and is there a way people can make contributions towards the upkeep?
Well, yes, we have got. We now, as we say, run the guest house.
Yep.
So that does bring in some income to me to keep it. But yes, we're always very glad to have some contributions.
And it's the Bar Convent Living Heritage Centre, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
But actually, it's all under the Congregation of Jesus, which is the
Congregation of Jesus, yep.
Yes.
The-
So it's under that umbrella now. We used to have two trusts, but now we just have the one trust.
Well, thank you so much. I'm just going to
Pleasure.
turn it around, and everybody's going to give you a little thumbs up and a wave, and say thank you for your time and your hospitality.